So today there has been two topics proposed. Let's see how far we go with the first one. And if I have time, I might address both. If not, just the first one. And the first topic is, let me just read out as it is, because it is important to analyze this question. The question is, the purpose of human beings on earth. So what is the purpose of human beings on earth? So that's a kind of a very interesting kind of question, but I'm not sure whether it is well directed, whether it is purposeful. The question itself is there a purpose for that question? So what is the purpose of human beings? Then we can also ask the question, what is the purpose of animals being there? What is the purpose of trees, mountains, rivers, oceans, all of these things, right? So if you ask in a general question about all of these things, what's the purpose of stars? What's the purpose of universe? What's the purpose of planet? I think it is not necessarily a very helpful way of thinking about things or asking questions. Rather, there are other ways of thinking about it. What is the purpose of having a human life? Now, that is a little bit different. What is the purpose of having a human life? What is a purposeful way to live a human life? Or why are we here? What has made us to be born as a human being? Just to be born even to any realm of existence. Now, these are quite helpful questions. So if I may, I will try and address some of these because, as I pointed out at the beginning, just asking what is the purpose of human beings on Earth? Well, it's how it is. It's how it has always been. And it is how it always will be. It's a cyclic process. There is no discoverable beginning or possibly an end. The world systems begin and end, like from between the two big bangs, the world expansion and contraction. But that's like a heartbeat, and it has been happening all the time. And it is not just this earth. According to the suttas, there are many world systems. There are two suttas called Chulanika and Mahanika, for example. In there, sometimes some of the monks and nuns, when they meditate, they can develop psychic ability to have extraordinary kind of speech. When they speak, their sound, their words can be heard at great distances. And a disciple of the Buddha, just a disciple who has this kind of ability, can speak, when they speak with that psychic ability of speaking, speak to about 1,000 world systems. And the Buddha says, when the Buddha speaks, it is infinite. Yeah. So when he speaks, it goes to an incredible, like far distances. This even science doesn't know yet, right? That there are other life and many other world systems in the universe. And when the Buddha actually taught, the Dhamma was heard by other world systems too. Quite interesting. Yeah. But anyway, it's not only just human beings. According to Buddhist cosmology, there are many realms of existence. There are many Deva realms and Brahma realms, hell realms, animal realm, so hungry ghost realm. So there are many, many realms into which we can be born as a being. So the number of beings that exist is also infinite, because this is the other thing that people ask. Yeah, what happens when the world ends? What happens to all beings? Or also people ask, what happens if everybody, gets enlightened and the world will become empty? Will there be no beings anymore? So this is the thing. Yeah, it's the number of beings in the whole universe, or the many universes, or this great mass of existence is incalculable. So there's always beings to come and be born. But the interesting question is, why are we born here? Why are beings born to different realms of existences? Yeah, born as humans, born as animals, born as hungry ghosts, born as hell beings, born as various different types of heavenly beings, or even Brahma existences, all of these things. Why are we born into existences? To bhava, it is called in Pali. And the answer to that is because of craving, tanha. Yeah, because of craving. Because as long as you want to see, you want to enjoy sights, you will get an eye. As long as you have desire, wanting to hear things, you will get an ear. As long as you want to taste, you will get a tongue. As long as you want to feel the touches, you will get a body. Yeah? And a mind. All of these 6 sense bases, as long as you have desire to experience with these things, then you will be born. You will exist in some form. Where you will exist will be determined by your karma, that is your actions. Wholesome and unwholesome actions will decide where you will be existing, whether it's next life is going to be human or animal or something else. But why we keep going on and on and on is due to craving, due to wanting. We just get another body. When we die, you get another form because we want to exist. So that is why we are here. But what is the purpose, in the sense, what can be a meaningful way to live this human life? Because human life is quite special. Because if you are born as an animal, the animals are not able to understand and comprehend the Dhamma, the teachings. Their wisdom faculties are not well developed. Very, very basic perceptions and ways of behavior. They can't understand many things. Yeah. So their level of comprehension, they do not have that ability to understand. They do not have that ability for insights to come. So, but a human birth is so special because that is the starting realm. There are the realms above human realm are also able to understand the teachings and practice. So the Deva realms, Brahma realms, it is possible. But human realm is the lowest one. Below than that, it is not possible to do the practice. So having a human life is very precious, extremely precious, because in the human realm also, we can see both sides. Yeah, we see the very pleasurable, enjoyable side of life in the human realm, but we also see the suffering, difficulty, and pain in the human realm. And pretty much almost all the human beings experience these things, both pain and pleasure, in one lifetime. But if you are in like a heavenly realm, then, it is full of usually pleasure, really extreme pleasure. So sometimes you get intoxicated. You can get intoxicated by these pleasures and forget that there is pain to be had when we fall from that existence, because existence in any realm is not forever. Because this is another view in different religious faiths. So some religions, after you die, either you go to heaven or to hell, and you live there forever. But that is not the Buddha's teachings. The Buddha says, yes, there is heaven, there are heavenly realms, there are hell realms, but the time span is very, very long, extremely long, but it's not an end. Once your time is done, you still get exist in another realm according to the whatever karma that is remaining. So even though you may be in the heavenly realm for a while, for a long, long while, once that good karma ends, you just fall into another existence. And there you may experience pain, and that is when suddenly you ask the question, why? What can I do? Why this is happening to me? Yeah. So we can forget, but having said that, I don't mean to say that you can't practice. Actually, in heavenly realms, sometimes there is quite good conducive conditions as well for people who have already been practicing, cultivating right view, yeah, meditating. If you have been going strongly in your this life and really cultivated quite a lot of right view, then if you're born in heavenly realms too, you will still gravitate towards where the Dhamma is spoken, where there are people, where are heavenly beings who are practicing the teachings. Because in these realms you can, even though you may not see the painful side, you already had the right view about it by practicing while you were in the human realm. So once you're there, you can continue your practice for people who have been practicing strongly. But for somebody who didn't practice strongly but got born in the heavenly realm due to really good karma, because they were very generous, they were quite virtuous, and they did, because of the power of that, then if they didn't build up right view enough, they may get carried away playing around in the Nandana flower gardens and enjoying all the sensual pleasures and get intoxicated. So there is danger, but not for people who have been practicing. That's just a side note, just to make sure that I don't mean to say that human realm is the best place to practice. In fact, at the current state, it may not even be. I mean, right now we still have good Dhamma and places to practice, but we don't know how long that's going to last, how long the good Dhamma, it's already getting corrupted. Yeah. So, but in the heaven realms, for example, Tavatimsa, for example, there is still Aryans, that is stream winners, once returners, and non-returners in the heavenly realms. They discuss Dhamma. So good Dhamma and good practicing beings are still available. So conducive conditions are there as well. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is human life is very precious. So when we have this human life, it is important to think about what is a purposeful way, a meaningful way to live this life. Even if you don't believe in life after this, even if you only believe in one life, even then, this is still a relevant question to say, how do I want to live my life? What is a good way to do this? Is it only about, finding a job, building up a career, building up a family, enjoying a few of these sensual delights, going here, going there, traveling, seeing the world? Is that the human life all about? Or is there more to it? Because if that is the case, it's quite too simple, isn't it? Too kind of boring, or too not that meaningful. I mean, it is nice to build up a nice family, contribute with your career. I mean, there is meaning and purpose in those things. There are noble ways of doing these things, and I don't mean to put that down. But to me, it feels like it is not enough, because you're still stuck here. We don't know what's going to happen when we die. This is the thing. There is no guarantee. We don't know. Yes, I build up a nice family. I build up a nice career, I did some things, saw and experienced, had many experiences about life. But, and then what? Is that going to end all my suffering? Am I happy even doing these things? Am I happy? Am I peaceful? Because whenever I ask people the question, what do you want to do with your life? What do you need? What do you want? What is your life about? What is your goal? What do you want to achieve? And people say they want happiness, they want peace. So everything else they do, going for work, building up a family, going to see all these things, having experiences, all these things are in their pursuit of peace, in search of that peace, in search of that happiness. They do all of these things. But again, when you really look, everybody here in the audience and many people who would be listening to this talk later, you've lived long enough and done many things already. And if you reflect back, you know, the amount of happiness and the amount of suffering that we have to invest in order to get that little bit of gratification. If that is the purpose of life, I think it's a really bad deal. Yeah, that would be, sounds like a bad deal. So there is real happiness to be had. Yeah, there is the ending of suffering that could be done. Craving can be ended. Yeah, in that case, then there is a purpose for this life. There is good Dhamma available right now. So living the spiritual path is possible. It is possible for human beings to do this, to understand this, to cultivate right view. So there's a lot of beautiful purpose for a human life to be lived in a meaningful way. And in doing so, you could also do many other good things, acts of generosity, acts of kindness, acts of compassion, acts of all your virtuous behaviors. All that is an incredible contribution to your family, to society, to the world in general as well. And you are also doing something really meaningful and purposeful for yourself. So that's turning around the question. Yeah, it's not about why are there human beings on the planet, but rather why am I here? What brought me here? And how can I live this life to the fullest way, in the best possible way, in a productive way or an efficient way? Because what we also know is life is short. Life is unreliable. Once we are born, the only certain thing that we know that would happen is our death. And the other thing is, we know that we will die, but we don't know when. It can happen anytime. It can happen while we are listening to this Dhamma talk. It can happen tonight, or it can happen many years later. We just don't know. So then, whole purpose, whole meaning, the whole way we live our life, comes around in a good direction. You realize what we need to do with this life. And happiness can be created right here, right now, with the way we direct our mind, the way we cultivate our mind. Yeah. So this is where right view, cultivating right view, it's a big topic, but that brings peace, that brings joy here and now with whatever it is. Even during the guided meditation, the little instruction of accepting and embracing whatever is present right now instead of rejecting it. Now, that is part of right view, understanding world, my body, or outside is out of my control. It does not belong to me. Yeah, this is that right view of anatta, non-self. Yeah, it is. It does not belong to me, and it is not under my control. So rather than fighting it, rather than rejecting things, the wise and smart thing to do is to accept with understanding, with patience, with wisdom, knowing that it's not going to last forever. That is the second aspect of right view. Everything is impermanent and constantly changing. You can't hold on to it. Yeah, even whatever it is, whether your pain or the pleasure, whatever it is, it just passes by without your permission. So when you know that things are changing also, so if it was an unpleasant kind of situation, present moment, you know after a little while it's going to change. Even some of you may have started it very nicely. Your body was peaceful, your mind was peaceful, everything was so nice. And maybe halfway through the meditation, you started to have a headache, or there were some sounds happening, or some other issue started to happen. So it's like that. So it's constantly changing. But if we have this right view that these things are out of my control, they pass after a while, then you can be at ease. You can make peace with these things and watch from a distance. This doesn't mean that you don't take action ever. Of course not. Yeah. There are times that you can do something about it. Yeah. If you have a headache, take some Panadol. Yeah. If that helps, that's great. So, of course, if there's something that can be done, you do that. But when there is nothing that can be done, then you just allow things to be and wait. Again, if there is abuse and difficulty or anything like that, that doesn't mean you just allow them to continue to harm you. Not at all. You put your boundaries, you take action. But whatever else within, which is, after having done what you can, then you just have to endure with patience. Yeah, this is the thing, and wisdom. And it's beautiful once you learn how to do it, understanding everything is conditionally arisen. Yeah, causes and conditions. It's a whole process of causes and conditions. The present moment was created with what happened just before. And the future is created with whatever we do right now. So this is why it is so important. If you want peace, if you want happiness, if you want your future to be good, then take care of your present moment. Yeah, taking care of here and now is the best way to live. And learning how to do that is the entire spiritual path. Yeah, entire spiritual path is there. There are many Dhamma talks, there are many Dhamma teachings, there are suttas, an entire lifetime or many lifetimes worth of things that we can learn and practice. But doing that now would be a very purposeful way of living a human life. Now, a talk like that cannot be ended without mentioning something very, very important. So now I said that having a human life is very precious. But not only human life, but right now, the current period is very precious as well. Now, for many of you, everybody who's listening, hopefully are all human beings. And all of you, I'm hoping nobody here who's listening to this talk is completely mentally retarded in the sense that you can't make sense and understand the talk, right? So you have ability to comprehend, learn. So your mental faculties are good. Because if that wasn't the case, even the Dhamma is there, these beautiful teachings, the wisdom teachings are there, you can't benefit, right? Even if you are a human being. So it's very precious that you are healthy, you can understand, your mental faculties are well. And if you have wrong view, again, that can block listening to the Dhamma. But if you do not have wrong view, then you're open to listening to these teachings. And that is helpful as well, because if wrong view is there, then those people will not lend an ear and will miss out on some of these teachings. So if you don't have wrong view, there will be many different types of wrong view, but at least that wrong view of which stops you from listening to the Buddha's teachings, then you can be happy that it's not there. I'm lucky, I'm fortunate. This human life is great. And if you were born as an animal in the hungry growth realm, in the hell realms, or extremely high, far away Brahma realms, in those also the Dhamma cannot be heard. So right now, being in the human realm, having come in contact with these beautiful teachings is quite a precious opportunity. Yeah, so then it is possible to live this life in a meaningful way, in a good way, leading towards happiness, leading towards peace, leading towards giving up, letting go, all of those beautiful things, reducing the craving. You know, another beautiful wisdom teaching is contentment. Yeah, the Buddha says, Santutti paramang dhanang. That means contentment is the highest wealth. And that's true, isn't it? I mean, I've said this many times in previous talks, but once you're contented, then you don't want anything more. So you don't need so much money. Your desires are down, and it's a very peaceful, happy state. Now, right now, as you're listening to this Dhamma talk, if you're at ease, if you're happy, if you're contented with this Dhamma talk, then you are in a good mind state, enjoying it. But instead, if you're arguing, complaining, getting upset, getting irritated, yeah, then, discontent is a state of suffering. Or instead, if you are craving to have some dinner, craving to, do something, wanting to go to sleep, wanting something else, wanting to be somewhere else. So when the discontent come in, it's a state of suffering. So just very simple to see this in mind, yeah? So just the moment you incline your mind to contentment with wisdom, not complacency. Contentment always comes with wisdom, understanding. Then you are at ease. Peace is right here. Happiness is right here. And you can grow and build by cultivating this path. So that is... maybe there's more can be said, but I think this is probably enough for that question of what is the purpose of human beings on earth. So instead, I redirected it to ask a slightly different couple of questions. So why are we here? It's due to our cravings and desires. Our wantings has brought us here. And what is a meaningful way to live this life? Living this beautiful spiritual path, which brings you closer with every step to happiness and true freedom. Yeah, not freedom of desire, but rather freedom from desire. Yeah. So this is what I have to say for this part of the Dhamma talk, and I will stop and ask for any questions. If anybody like to ask further questions on this, then I can continue more on this topic. So you can put onto the chat or you can unmute and ask a question. It is an interesting question for many people. Many people kind of wonder this. But I sometimes ask people whether they have contemplated what is a meaningful way to live this life. And sometimes some people have not contemplated. So I encourage people to contemplate that instead. Anybody, any questions?
I have a question, Ayya.
Simran?
So, if you were born in the higher realms, does that mean, do you have to be a stream enterer to be born in the higher realms?
No. Stream enterers can be born in higher realms or in human realms, but there are many others who are not stream winners, but they have incredible good merit. Due to good merit, you can be born in higher realms. And virtue, your sila, yeah, your virtuous conduct takes you to higher realms. And your meditation also can take you to higher realms, but not necessarily the attainments. So there are many heavenly beings who are not yet attained. And these you can see in the suttas, in the teachings. Even the ruler of the gods, yeah, his name is called Sakka. At the time of the Buddha, he too was not a stream winner or anything. And in fact, listening to one sermon, that he became a stream winner. And it's a really beautiful sutta. It's a really long one. It is in the long discourses, Digha Nikaya, sutta number 21, called Sakkapanya Sutta. It's actually remarkable, beautiful sutta, where the Sakka, the ruler of the god, asks quite a few questions from the Buddha. And during that conversation, question and answer series, that is when the Sakka become a stream winner. So he's actually the god, I mean, the ruler of the realm. So yeah, and together with him, quite a number of his other devas also became stream winners, and some took refuges and precepts. So, but there are many who are not. Yeah.
My question is still there, but I think I asked it in the wrong so-called like place.
Okay.
Meaning, Buddhism is not a religion, and hence you assume that the assumption is the human beings are already here. So the explanation that you have given is based on that premise. But I guess my question is, for example, why was the craving there? So maybe that's like a religious question, because then we need the concept of God, concept of the creator God and the soul, which Buddhism doesn't have.
Okay, now
And
I
I guess that's
understand where
where I'm
you're
coming
coming from.
from.
Okay, let me answer then. This is another whole Dhamma talk, but I can speak to it. Yeah. So let's begin there. So, why is the craving there? So, now that's a good way to start, because I mentioned why are we here would be a good question. And I said why we are here is because of our craving and our desire. And you are asking, why is there craving? So the answer to that is craving is there because of delusion, because of ignorance, because of not knowing. Yeah. So this is the biggest problem. So when we are in the dark, when we can't see, when we don't know, the craving is there. It underlies. Yeah. It is a result of delusion, ignorance. Now I will explain things more clearly, but let's just start with not knowing. And in the time of the Buddha himself said he too wanted to know when was the starting point of ignorance? Was there a starting point? Was there a beginning? So he didn't ask about beginning of the world, beginning or ending of the world. Rather, he asked the question, what was the beginning? Was there a beginning for ignorance? Right? The delusion. Why is delusion there? When did it start? Now, Buddha has this incredible psychic ability, and also monks and nuns who meditate can also develop the psychic ability to go back in past lives, into past lives, methodically, right? So he went back 91 eons. Now, to make it understand, if you don't know what an eon is like. So people at the time of the Buddha asked, can you please tell us how many years are there in one eon? Eon is one cycle of world expansion and contraction. If you like, it is from the one big bang to the next one. When we were at school, when I was at school, I only knew about one Big Bang, but I think the physics have now discovered multiple Big Bangs. So they know that it is a bit cyclic, that it has happened many times and probably happening again and again. So the time period in one eon is like if there's a large big river. The Buddha used the river Ganges, but whatever river will do, from the beginning to the end, the number of sand grains that are there is less than the number of years in an eon. That's how long one eon is. So it's a long, long period of time. And not all that time there are human beings on earth, because some periods are not conducive for any form of existence, in a material kind of realm. But he went back 91 of those eons, really long period of time, and he stopped there and he said, the beginning of no discoverable beginning could be found for the starting point of ignorance. So it is always, that is something that is always there. But he said, ignorance has a nutriment. It is causally arisen. Now it's really interesting. Yeah, ignorance is there due to causes and conditions. Now, what are the causes and conditions? Now, this gives you straight away the answer why you have craving, why I have craving, why everybody has craving, why there is craving in the world. The Buddha said the craving is there due to ignorance. Even though a starting point could not be found, nutriment, the reason why that is there, can be found. There is a nutriment for it. And that is why ignorance can be ended individually, and that is enlightenment. When we break through that ignorance, and when we end the craving, that is enlightenment, that is nibbana. Yeah. So the nutriment for ignorance is the 5 hindrances. Now, what are these 5 hindrances? 5 hindrances. The first one is sensuality. Yeah. So the craving for all the 5 senses. The second hindrance is ill will and negativity. Third one is sloth and torpor or laziness of the mind. Fourth one is restlessness. And the fifth one is doubt. So when these things are there in our mind, we don't see things clearly. Everything we see, our perceptions are distorted. So with distorted perceptions, in search of our pleasure, what we get is mostly suffering. This is what we spoke about on Sunday as well. The perceptions are distorted. We see things in the wrong way. But we ask the question, we can clearly see. Now, I will just bring up something. Excuse me for bringing this up. It's a bit gross, but it needs to be said. Yeah. So think about your most beautiful or most handsome movie star, whoever who you really like, who you think is really, really attractive. Yeah, so there are people that we think are really, really attractive. Now, if that really attractive person, maybe they have really beautiful eyes, for example. If they pull out their eye and give it to your hand, would you want to hold it? They might have really beautiful hair that you want to stroke. If they take a lock of their hair and put it on your dinner plate, how do you feel? They might have a beautiful smile. If they take out their teeth and give it to you, do you want to hold them? No. So we know if you take the different body parts, what is a body made of? Actually, a bit yucky things, right? Body parts in themselves are pretty yucky, even our own. Even if our own teeth, when it comes out of our body, we don't want to hold it in our own hand even, right? It's kind of disgusting. But when we see as a whole, our perception is trained to see as beautiful, attractive. It's a perception. It's a distorted perception that gets us attracted to these people who we think. And it varies, right? Who one person thinks as attractive may not be attractive at all to another person because our perceptions are different. So this is just to explain the distorted nature of perception. Because when you actually ask the question, we know what a human body is like. But our distorted perception coming with these desires tells us, no, this is beautiful. You want to have them. You want to touch them. You want to kiss them. You want to stroke them. You want to do whatever with them. Yeah. So this is the distorted nature of our perception. So this is what delusion does. This is what ignorance does. So this is where craving comes from, because craving just shows us, because of these distorted perceptions that we have built up, things that are suffering as happiness, and we run after them. But that is why there is a small gratification in these things, but the danger in them is great. That part we do not want to see. This is the distortion as well. Distortion working cuts it all off and have a really narrow vision. We don't want to look to the right or to the left. We look straight in that really narrow path and only focus on the little bit of gratification. But if you ask the question, I talk like this, and when we pull it apart, you can see what's really there. But when we go back, when the hindrances are there, we just run after. So this is the nature, this is the darkness, the heaviness of this ignorance. As long as ignorance is there, our view of the world is distorted. So perceptions are distorted, views are distorted, mind is distorted. So with these distorted perceptions, mind and view, we run after in the world with craving. Yeah, so this is how the craving comes about. Because of this darkness, this absence of right view is ignorance. Yeah, absence of right view. And this is what happens when a Buddha arises in the world. The arising of a Buddha in the world is called arising of the I. Arising, it's like in the darkness, it's like a chick who's inside the egg. This is a straight away a simile from the Buddha itself, cracking the egg, coming out and seeing the light. Right view is like that, and suddenly you see, you come to realize what is going on. Yeah, what is going on in this samsara, what is happening. We are being dragged along by the nose, by craving. We are enslaved by craving. We work so hard because of our craving, just like a slave. Yeah, working our way, wearying ourselves to pursue our cravings. And what does craving do? Craving promises us so much, but delivers very little. We all know this. Again, this is the distorted nature. Even if we know that, we still continue to crave. We know it was not satisfactory. It was a disappointment. The happiness that was there was much less than what we had anticipated. But we continue on. We just can't help it because of ignorance, that distorted perception. So this is the whole part of meditation. The meditation is about reducing the distortion. Yeah. So the hindrances, the purpose of stillness, the deep meditation, deep stillness is about settling down the hindrances. First, we settle them down. So when they settle down, the mind gets clarity. When the mind gets clarity, it can actually see the world. The ignorance is temporarily going down. You can see better. Then you get insight. You understand what you're doing. You understand the real purpose. All the answers are then coming, and you see the happiness is in a completely opposite direction to where you have been told, by your distorted perceptions and views, and people with such views and perceptions. So this is why meditation is there. So it's not about listening and believing somebody else blindly. You only need to have a little bit of confidence in wanting to do the meditation. And if you do the meditation in the right way, as your hindrances go down, as you enter deep meditation, then you can see for yourself when the ignorance goes down, craving going down, sensuality really going down. Yeah. So this is a personal experience, not just listening and believing other people. You can experience this yourself. Yeah. And then insight starts to come. You understand what's going on. This is this beautiful path. It is apparent here and now, not understanding them after you die. No, you understand it while you are still alive. If you put in the time, if you do the practice, you can see every step you take, every little bit of right view you cultivate, every bit of peace that you get, you see a bit more about the reality of life, and you know how to deal with your life as well much better. So this is what I can say about this. But that sutta, the nutriment for goes all the way. It's quite a long sutta. I think I have spoken about in previous Dhamma talks as well, but now the time probably is not enough to go through the whole thing, but there is nutriment even for hindrances. So why are the hindrances there? I can say in very brief, but not enough time for somebody who is a beginner to go through all the concepts. But the hindrances are there due to misconduct by body, speech, and mind. And misconduct of body, speech, and mind is due to not having sense restraint. Not having sense restraint is due to not having enough mindfulness and clear comprehension. And that is due to not having wise attention. And not having wise attention is due to not having confidence. Not having confidence goes down to not having heard the Dhamma. Not having heard Dhamma goes down to association of the fools. So it's kind of interesting, very powerful sutta. If you want to read it, it is in Numerical Discourses, Anguttara Nikaya, Sutta number 61, called, I think, Ignorance or Nutriment, one of those. So, so this is how the ignorance is there. So as long as ignorance is there, there is craving. Due to craving, beings continue on in this samsara for undiscoverable period of time, very, very long time. But the good news is it can be ended for each individual, not for the whole world. The world continues on, samsara continues on. That's how it is. It's full of beings, as I said, not just this world, many world systems, many universes, many beings everywhere, uncountable. So we do not have to worry that the world will run out of people and human beings if we all practice and get enlightened. That's not kind of going to happen. It's not everybody who wants to follow this kind of path. Not everybody is ready, and it also takes time. And there are many other beings in many realms of existence. So they will take up human form. So world will always have all the different forms of life. And that changes, evolves, like dinosaurs disappeared, but some other form of beings come about. Like that, it just goes on and on and on and on. But the important thing to remember is there's much suffering and unsatisfactoriness in all these forms of existence, even the most refined and the beautiful ones. The problem there is the time ends, and then you still have to come back to difficulty. So this is why the spiritual path is being practiced and lived, is to find that ultimate happiness and freedom from being born. So this is what it is. And some people are not ready to hear that, and that's okay. But that's the Buddhist path. It's about ending rebirth, by ending craving, by ending delusion or ignorance. So that is a huge amount to grasp, but take time. And have to be patient. There's a lot of concepts that I said in this Dhamma talk for anyone who is a bit new to this. And it may be even difficult to sort of take in one go, but that is okay. It is a starting point. Keep investigating, keep exploring, and see whether you can connect with this. And if it is, that's good. But if it is not, well, you can leave it to one side for now. All right. So that's what I'm going to say for the talk this evening. Any more questions for anybody? There's still about another 10 minutes to go if people have any questions.
Hi, Venerable Karunika. Thank you for the talk. And sorry to kind of repeat Anne's question, but I completely understand and accept that sequence that you talked about where, when the Buddha was seeking kind of where this all started, he took that path. So craving and, ignorance and so on. But I actually had an aunt of mine who's Christian who asked me the same question that Anne did. which was, if life is all suffering and everyone's suffering, why was this all created? Who created this? And then I tried to say, well, this is how the Buddha said it. And, he talked about that craving sequence, but it didn't quite satisfy her. So how would you respond to a question like that? I mean, would you just say that's not the right question to ask,
Yeah,
or?
the thing is, it is very difficult. The reason is they are blocked by wrong view because they already have the God creating world. It is so ingrained, so second in nature. It's such a strong view. When that kind of view is there, it is very hard to grasp the Dhamma. So this is one of those things that I said. If you have that kind of wrong view, very strongly ingrained, it will be very difficult because you will see the whole world with that light, and only with that light, it is impossible to see outside of it if they are strongly holding. But not every Christian or other people are. Some people are much more open-minded. They have that possibility, but another proposition is given. They are willing to explore that as well and see. But for some others, this is so strong that that view itself will block them from seeing. So this is the thing. So then we have to be very skillful. But it is not that life is all suffering. There is gratification to be had. We have to acknowledge that. But is life all about only this, only gratifying our senses? Because when we ask that question, people come to their senses, they understand, yes, there is gratification, but we also have a lot of suffering that comes together. And the part of suffering is much greater if you are honest and courageous to really look at it within yourself. So this is the thing. But it is very hard to engage in this kind of conversation. If somebody is completely blocked with the wrong view, then we just have to be kind and give whatever is helpful for them and leave it to one side and yeah, let them be.
Thank you. Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Yes. And was it okay for you? It'll have to be okay for
Someone else want to ask another question. Like, if not, I would like to sort of respond to what the lady just said.
Okay.
Can you just ask around if someone wants the time to do something else?
I have opened it for nobody else is putting their hands up, so you might as well speak.
Okay, so I'm actually trying to grapple with this concept of like God, no God, Buddhism, Christianity myself. So the way I'm sort of answering that question that the lady, the auntie asked is, Buddhism came before religion. So everything about Buddhism is just what you said, what the Dhamma said, Sutta, is just perfect for humans to do their best they can without the concept of God, like without God helping me. So if I had known that there was a God at that time, I might perhaps have got lazy, and then my life for me would be like in the heavenly realm, just slacking off, enjoying pleasurable things. But without the concept of God, I have to strive to what I can do humanly possible. And that's how I grappled the idea that ignorance was there. And it's a basic assumption, it's a premise. I don't have a choice. But then after eons, religion came, and the concept of God, concept of soul was introduced to assist men to make it easier, because just with Buddhism, without concept of God and humans being frail, or I'm speaking for myself, I'm frail, I sometimes need like a hand, and the hand is God. And if that is not true, then, and if Buddhism is just the it and end all, where does the role of religion fit in this world? Like, they would have no purpose. So I find it hard to understand that. Does it make sense? Like,
Yeah, I understand your problem, and that's a really, really nice sutta, but this will have to be for next time, there is a very beautiful sutta in the Middle Discourses called Mara Tajaniya Sutta, and based on that, all of these things can be explained. Also, how those concepts in other religions came up as well. Kind of very interesting. You hear Ajahn Brahm has actually spoken to this. So whatever I know is also from that. If I can find that talk, I'll let people know. But if not, I will repeat it, my version of it, as to my best ability, because kind of interesting. And also living in a multicultural kind of society with multi-religion people in a very cosmopolitan world, we need to be able to relate to other people, their belief systems, and where they came from, and things like that. So maybe we will talk about it. May not be next Thursday, because next Thursday I'm going to be traveling. So I don't know what kind of conducive conditions are there. I will still do a talk, but I'm not sure whether I'll be able to do this talk. But in a future talk, either next week or the week after or something like that, we will talk about that. That's a good, interesting kind of topic. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And we look forward to seeing you again on next Thursday.